Hi, I'm Gareth Green, and in this video I'm going to try and answer a number of questions that we've been asked about dealing with triplets. So, and in particular, how to play threes against twos. So first of all, let's be clear what we mean by a triplet. So when you see this kind of thing in music, which I'm sure is very familiar to many people, well, you know that that's a triplet. Now, what it's saying is 3 for the price of 2. It's the offer I always look for in the supermarket. Can you buy 3 bananas for the price of 2 bananas? That's how sad my life is. No, not really. So 3 for the price of 2. In other words, if you have these quavers, these half notes as a triplet, it means that you've got to play those 3 notes in the time that it normally takes to play 2 of the same notes. So in fact, in terms of time, this equals that. Now let's take this a stage further, because those 2 notes equal one of these kind of notes. So when you do that, you just think, here's the triplet, 3 for the price of 2, 2 of the same kind of notes. And actually those 2 notes amount to one of those. So this triplet has to be played in the time of one of those kind of notes. Now, if we just do another example for a moment, well, say we take another triplet that looks like this. Okay, well, of course, that's going to be the same as 2 of the same kind of note, which means that that triplet has to be played in the time of one of these kinds of notes. Or, just to give you a final example of this, we could have this. The reason why you might see this one with these kind of dashes or lines either side is because the notes are not beamed together in the way that these are. So if they're beamed together, you just see the 3. If they're not beamed together, it's just clarified by these little extra marks. But don't let that worry you at all. It doesn't change anything. But 3 of those means that they're going to be played in the time of 2 of those, which means they're going to be played in that time value. So that's the maths of how these triplets work. Might also be worth saying that when you have a triplet, it might be 3 notes, or it might be the equivalent of 3 notes. What do I mean by that? Well, this particular triplet that we're looking at here, for example, you might see something like this being written. So in other words, there's a rest in the middle, but it's still the equivalent of that, isn't it? Basically, you're playing the first note and the third note, and the middle one is a rest. So you might see something like that. You might even see something like this, where you're thinking, hang on a minute, this can't be right. There are 4 notes going on. Well, how about if it's done as a rhythm like that? Well, because when you think about it, that note is the equivalent to that. That last one is the equivalent to that. But these 2 notes in the middle are equivalent to that. So a triplet is 3 notes or the equivalent of those 3 notes. If there's some other rhythm involved or a rest involved or whatever, it's the same thing. So that's the first thing, just to be really clear about what's going on with a triplet. And I'm going to use this opportunity to answer another question that we've been asked, which is, well, I know about triplets, but how do I deal with these things that we call sextuplets? Oh, let's see if we can deal with them for a minute. So, okay, here comes a group of 6. Oh, it's kind of like, oh, if I saw that in a piece of music, well, what would I do with that? Well, think of it this way. If it's a 6, it's 2 lots of 3. So in fact, once you've done that to it, you realise that in fact a sextuplet, is just like 2 of these things back to back, isn't it really? So you can deal with the 6s as 2 lots of 3. So I think that's sort of quite a useful thing just to cover in passing while we're on this. Okay, so that's the triplets, and what do we mean by a triplet? Now, quite often when you come to play these things, particularly if you're a keyboard player, what you've got to do a triplet in one hand and then something in the other hand that's not a triplet. So you're thinking, oh my goodness, now this is a bit tricky. How do I manage that? Well, say we have something like this. In fact, it'd be useful if I gave this a clef for a bit of reference, wouldn't it? Say we had in this right-hand part a triplet. So quaver triplets or eighth note triplets, and then we've just got a single note in the left hand. Well, that's not too difficult. And let's say we've got another beat of them coming up straight after. Okay. Now, let's pretend that we're dealing with two beats and a bar. So let's, for the sake of completion, annotate that. So if I'm counting 2 beats and a bar, 1, 2, 1, 2, well, the left hand, the bass part, is just sounding on those 2 beats. 1, 2. And all I've got to do in the right hand part is deliver 3 notes on each beat. 1, 2, like that. Okay, now I might have to do something that shifts between 2s and 3s. So how about if the next bar, not very exciting piece that's being written here, I might say, how about the next bar goes like this? I'm purposely not making the melody interesting because I'm trying to focus on this aspect of the rhythm. So if in the next bar, oh goodness me, what happened to the bar line? It's gone a little bit drunk, that one. Let's have another go. It's a very clever little trick, this, that just makes it go straight. Anyway, there we are. So do you see what I've done here? At the beginning of the second bar, I've just got those 2 quavers. So we've got triplet, triplet, 2 ordinary quavers or eighth notes, triplet. What I've got to do is keep the pulse going, and I've got to divide the pulse into 3 for each of the triplets, but I've got to divide the same pulse into 2 for quavers. So this is one of the questions we've been asked, is kind of like, okay, well, I can sort of vaguely work out what the triplets are, but then when I put that alongside other rhythms, it goes funny. Well, keep the pulse steady. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Do you see what I'm doing there? So I've split this beat into 2 equal parts, 1 and, but the other beats are splitting into 3. 1, 2, 1 and 2. So those beats are absolutely steady. So that's sort of switching between 2s and 3s, one of the things we've been asked about. Now, the thing that is really causing people a lot of grief is what I'm now going to put on the next line. And I'll tell you what, let's make it even more exciting by having it in a different colour. Okay, well, say, we'll stick with 2/4, why not? How about if we get these triplets going in the right hand, but in the left hand, instead of just having 1 crotchet or 1 quarter note, I've actually got these 2 notes. Now you're thinking, I've got to do 3 in the right hand, but 2 in the left hand. Well, the thing to do is to work out, well, how does that actually come out in practice? Well, we have to do these 2 together first. That's the first thing you do. So that's the first move. Then you've got to do this note next. Then this note fits in between the second and the third notes of the triplet, and then you play the last note of the triplet. Okay, so in the right hand I'm going, and in the left hand I'm going, but actually what I'm doing in reality, in processing that, is this: together, right, left, right. You can think of that as a rhythm. Together, right, left, right. Together, right, left, right. Together, right, left, right. And I suggest you practice it exactly like that. If you don't want to play it on 2 notes, you can clap it on your knees, together, right, left, right. You can sort of do it that way. But together, right, left, right. Together, right, left, right. And when you get good at it, speed it up. Together, right, left, right. Da, 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 So you can do it really quickly. And that enables you to deliver those 3 notes of the triplet evenly and the 2 notes of the other part evenly as well. Well, of course, it's always possible that you're going to have to do this the other way around. You might have 2 in the right hand and 3 in the left hand. Well, there's nothing different. It's just that it's upside down, isn't it? So what's happening now? We're going together, and then we're going to go left, right, in between number 2 and 3, and then left. So now I'm doing this. I'm going together, left, right, left. Together, left, right, left. You see? Together, left, right, left. So together, left, right, left. Together, left, right, left. You see how you do that? Exactly the same trick the other way around. So that shows you how to deal with these 3s against 2s. And you've got to be very careful that when you do this, the triplets don't become uneven. What some people do with their triplets is that they actually turn them into a different rhythm. So if you're not careful, you can take a triplet and sort of turn it into something like that, which is not the correct rhythm for a triplet. You're playing 3 notes inside the beat, but that's a kind of ragtime rhythm. That's a different thing. Da da ta 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 ta. But a triplet is even. Da 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 da. So you've got to make sure that when you try to play a triplet, you don't end up doing something like that. But hopefully that's a useful introduction to, well, what are triplets? Let's be clear about that. What are other things like 6s? Well, they're just 2 kind of triplets back to back. So what does it mean when you're dealing with a triplet? We've covered that. And then how do we put 2s against 3s when we're playing? And just practicing that. Together, right, left, right. Together, right, left, right. Or the other way around. Together, left, right, left. Together, left, right, left. Will get you sorted on playing 2s against 3s. And just check out that those triplets are going absolutely evenly and they haven't turned into one of those kind of ragtime rhythms. And then you should have your triplets absolutely cracked. Well, if you've enjoyed this video and you're sort of thinking, actually, I do need to know a bit more about some of this stuff, go to our website, www.mmcourses.co.uk. Click on courses and go to our theory courses. We've got 8 levels of theory explanation there that really goes through all this kind of stuff in detail. Does a heap of other stuff about rhythm, about pitch, about keys, chords, you name it. We've got it all covered there, from the very basic stuff to the relatively advanced stuff. We've also got bundle packages, so you can get the first 5 levels as a bundle with a 20% discount, or you can have all 8 levels with 30% off. How about that? So if theory is the sort of thing you think, yeah, actually, I do need to get my head around some of this stuff, then it's all there for you, all tailor-made, all explained, all demonstrated. You can see it written down, you can hear it being played, and lots of people have told us that they've worked through those theory courses and it's completely changed their understanding of what they're doing musically. Lots of other stuff there as well, lots of other courses, the stuff about our Maestros group. Have a look and see what's there. www.mmcourses.co.uk